Right. Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of Shouting Over Static, the show and tell video game podcast. Though, I suppose it's not really a show and tell anymore. We'll rethink
We
it.
tell people, we don't show them anything though.
Yeah, oh well, it's still a bit like a show and tell. We still bring a thing to a thing. Be alright. I'm your host for this week, your rambling host. The host rambler. I'm Mark. Hi, Mark. I'm also here with Dylan. How you doing, Dylan?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, doing alright on this rainy Saturday morning. I'm also
Yeah.
here with Jack. Hey, Jack.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm alright. I'm doing okay. I'm here on this rainy Saturday morning.
Every time.
I'm also here with Shaw. Hey, Shaw.
Hey man, how you doing?
Oh, I'm alright. Doing okay, here on this rainy Saturday morning. This is a good bit.
I like it.
So, for the month of May, we've been playing through the Ubisoft smash hit, I don't know if that's true, the Ubisoft video game, Tom Clancy's Splinter
What a
Cell
title.
Conviction. Let's do the technicals. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction is the, I'm going to say, 5th game in the long-running Splinter Cell series, released on April the 13th, 2010, for the Xbox 360. And then, like a couple of weeks later for the PC. Developed by Ubisoft Montreal, who we may know as the developers of such smash hit franchises as Assassin's Creed and Far Cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a bit of a departure for the series. Splinter Cell Conviction, bit different to the previous 4 Splinter Cell games. And yeah, we've been playing it this month. We've all got some opinions on it. I think people have been taking notes. I don't know. Let's quickly run around the table. Let's do what we're playing it on and what history you have with the Splinter Cell franchise. So Dylan, what are you playing it on? What history you got with Splinter Cell?
I'm playing it on the Xbox One, but I guess an Xbox 360 version of it. And I've played a few of them before. I think my dad had them on PlayStation 2, but I don't know which ones they were. I just know that I've played some Splinter Cell, where I got to be in the dark and wear some cool suits.
You are familiar with Sam Fisher and the 3 dots of light on his forehead.
Yeah, that's it. That's my history with Splinter Cell. I understand the dots.
I don't. What's the 3rd dot for?
For extra vision.
Fucking fair enough. Don't know why I didn't think of that. Jack, talk to me.
Yeah, so pretty much the same as Dylan. I've got an old copy of the game on the Xbox 360, playing it on the Xbox One. And yeah, again, very much similar. I know the games. I can't really say that I've played many of them.
Hey man, I did play some.
Okay.
Don't put yourself in with me when I've actually played before.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I remember playing a couple of levels of one of them when I was really young. But I can't remember much else of that. I remember picking up the game ages ago, like this game, Splinter Cell Conviction, for like a couple of quid in a second-hand store, and I was like, oh, brilliant, I'll get down and play that. And then I played a couple of levels of it, and I got really annoyed.
Yeah, it's understandable.
This is going to be a familiar story.
I guess it's good that, like, not forced, but like it's good that I've sat down and had a chance to play it.
Yeah. Okay, sweet. Sure. What are you saying?
I played it on the PC, but I've never played any Splinter Cells before, so it's my first one. But I've seen them around. I've seen the 3 dots. I know what it's about.
Yeah,
Dots.
that is what the 3 dots are about. Yeah, I also played on the PC, which, yeah, I think there is some things to say about this PC port at some point, which aren't hugely complimentary. I actually own Splinter Cell 1 and Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow, and have never really been able to get that far through them, because they are like the very definition of hardcore stealth games. I probably played the first 2-3 levels in both, and then found myself in one of those situations that happens in every one of those original Splinter Cell games, where you are just in like a dark corridor and there are dudes with assault rifles walking up and down it, and you just have to do like some fucking pixel perfect ducking from shadows to shadows, and it was just really hard, so I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
That's kind of where I'm at with Splinter Cell. But yeah, I too know of the 3 dots.
I'm proud of us.
So
We all understand the existence of a fairly well-known game series.
So I don't know. I finished Splinter Cell Conviction. I feel pretty proud of that. My
It's a
understanding is
remarkable
not
feat.
everyone involved in this podcast did finish Splinter Cell Conviction.
I got to the last level and then didn't do it because I didn't have time. But also, I read what happened and I felt like I don't want to put myself through more Splinter Cell just to see what I expected from literally the beginning. Literally the first time I saw, I guess we'll go through it in a minute, but the first time I saw this one thing happening, I was like, this is how it's going to end. It's exactly what happened.
What?
So-
Okay.
Yeah,
I assume we'll go through some sort of process of discussing it. I don't want to jump the gun. But-
yeah. I think we will have to do a little story rundown.
Yeah.
Jack, my understanding is you have finished it.
Yeah, I finished it in the early hours of the morning this morning. I had a couple of levels left to do, and I thought, you know what, I'm actually like, I want to try and finish this, or I want to see how it ends. Or like again, as much of a, I guess, love to hate relationship I think we've all had with it. It was certainly like an enjoyable thing to finish the game. So yeah.
And Chore?
I haven't finished it at all, and I don't think I have a love to hate relationship. I just hate it.
What level did you get to?
The Lincoln Memorial
Right.
level. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like about halfway. I
Yeah,
think.
I'd say
Yeah,
halfway.
about
I think
that.
that's a fair point to have a full assessment of the game, of the gameplay elements at least.
No, it gets a bit better.
No?
It,
Okay.
the back end of it actually does pick up like a fair bit, but even then, like I don't know if it picks up because it gets better or if it picks up because I started playing it. I think a bit more how you're supposed to play it. I think so. Should we get into what this game is then?
Yeah.
'Cause I think that's going to help inform some of this discussion. So this is ostensibly, at face value, this is a stealth game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like a third-person sneaking around stealth game. But what it actually is it's not that at all, is it? It's a third-person action game in which you start off every encounter and the enemies don't know where you are.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah, the amount of times where it ended up being there, I'm just stood behind a box and they're all running at me as I shoot them was basically every level.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel to me like it has. It's got systems within it that seem to encourage you to play in like a stealthy, knocking people out, moving from person to person kind of way, but
Like the health that you have, because you die as soon as anybody hits you.
Yeah.
yeah, yes, that is true. I meant more like the PEC system, whatever it is, the permanent enhancement capability or whatever the fuck, the thing that you can, the points that you can get to upgrade your guns with, and you get more points if you do loads of stealthy shit. But yeah, also you're right, you're not very survivable in this game at all.
Yeah, that was mostly it for me. The only reason I didn't run in killing people, because I didn't buy upgrades for my guns until like the penultimate level,
Oh shit.
because I just forgot.
No fair.
Oh, that's a shame, because there are parts of the game which, if you have, say, a fully upgraded pistol, have become incredibly fun.
Yeah, I've noticed since I made my gun a lot better, it's been a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Because I could actually shoot people from like further than a meter.
And I think we'll get into this if we do a rundown of the story, but that bit where it gives you infinite mark and execute.
Oh
If you
man,
that was fun.
If you have an upgraded pistol that lets you do, say, 4 mark and executes at a time, just fucking wreck shot, mate. And even then, that bit was a bit clunky. But
I had a fully upgraded SCP-9300 or whatever it's called. At that point, the fucking P90 basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, right, yeah. The Splinter Cell gun.
Yeah. So I could execute, I think, 3 people at a time, and that's all I saw at any one point anyway. So
it's probably So the story of this game, direct sequel to Splinter Cell Double Agent. You play as the gruffest man on the planet, Michael Ironside. Sam Fisher. Sorry. Voiced by Michael Ironside, who's not really trying to do a different voice. That's just how Michael Ironside sounds, and I suppose that's what you
imagine
want.
sounding like that. Yeah,
it'd be great. It's the dream. The dream is to drink enough whiskey and to smoke enough cigarettes in my life that I can sound like Michael Ironside.
I want that bordering on throat cancer kind of feel, you know?
It's just like his voice is so gruff and like it slurs together so much that he sounds permanently drunk, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
It's not I mean, it's a great sound.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful voice.
One of the good things about the game.
Yeah, and so you play as Sam Fisher, and you go on a wild adventure to. Well, Dylan, do you want to run it down? I actually played the early parts of the game about a month ago now, so I don't. How does it start off?
So you start off in like just outside a cafe or something, and you get given a Bluetooth headset and a phone, and it is Grim What's Her Chops. Grim.
Yep.
The ginger lady is phoning you, just like you've got some third echelon Splinter Cell dudes or whatever coming in on you. I don't think they were Splinter Cell dudes. I think they were just third echelon. Third echelon dudes coming in on you, and so third echelon, I believe, is the company, the sort of group that Sam Fisher used to be part of. He was a Splinter Cell in, and they're coming in to get you. So you run away, and then eventually find a guy that you interrogate, which is, I think, one of the best mechanics of this game. And the interrogation is just beating the shit out of him. And you find out there's a whole story about his daughter dying. So they set up the story like that. There's someone trying to kill you, and your daughter is dead. That's the opening. But then it turns out that Grim is part of this third echelon. She's still, I mean, that's not a surprise if you've played the games before. So you get taken into an area, you get captured, and then she frees you. It's all a bit convoluted, really, now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, so they set up this, you're now working for Grim while she's in third echelon, because there's some nonsense going down, right? And then I guess that's the opening gambit. That's what they introduce you with. God, it's really quite a bit, isn't it? For not much.
Yeah, definitely.
It goes places that are completely unnecessary.
It's worth noting that this character Grim you're referring to is her name is Anna Grimsdotter, and everyone
Grimsdotter, yeah, there you go.
Everyone calls her Grim because I guess if you had a fucking badass name like that, why wouldn't you have everyone call you Grim?
Does she actually get everyone? I'd really appreciate it if in the first few games she was just like, actually it's Grim. Call me Grim. My name's Grim. Because who doesn't love someone who picks their own nickname? Forgot the word nickname there, if you couldn't tell.
It's a hard name. It's a hard word. It's one of the hardest.
Yeah, so there was one bit in those first levels that I did kind of like. I enjoyed it at first. It seemed quite fun. It was sneaky. Gave me that feel. But those sort of tutorial sections that they did, where they were introducing the fact that your kid is a kid. You had a kid.
But not because they were dead. Oh, what? You mean the proper tutorial sections where you're tucking your daughter in?
Yeah, I thought those were actually kind of great because he was like explaining the whole light and dark thing. You can see them, they can't see you, black and white, all that stuff. I thought that was actually quite fun. And then you got to kill some dudes in front of your daughter.
I completely agree. I did make a note here about how it is maybe a bit fucked up that the subtext there to everything he is saying is him teaching his 10-year-old daughter how to hunt other human beings in the night.
It's pretty dark.
It's a bit fucked up.
My only comments I wrote for that were the light and dark tutorial is cool, talking to kid, and then fucking brutal kid shit. So I feel like that covers what you experienced in those tutorials quite well. Because obviously they were setting up the whole fact that there's a troubled relationship with his child.
That seems to be entirely because he teaches his child terrible, terrible things.
Yeah. Could be part of it, Sam. Could be part of it.
But, I don't know. I think these first few levels where the game is still trying, it's showing you what it's all about, I think actually probably work the best.
Yeah.
I thought as an interesting experience. They don't maybe have the best gameplay, but I think actually as a mission statement for what Splinter Cell Conviction is. With the flashbacks, and they use the diegetic text. And that's something this game does a lot. Is all the text for what your mission is and what you have to do and what emotion Sam is feeling at the time and a bunch of other shit like that all appear in the world, it written on the side of buildings and on the floor and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes for some cool cutscenes, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are some bits later on where, though it is pretty ham-fisted, it's quite cool to sort of see all these words appearing all over the screen and things getting pretty wild. And those first few episodes use that to really, really good effect.
Yeah.
Or those few levels, and then you interrogate the dude in the toilet, and that is probably actually So this is something. So the interrogation is a pretty common thing in this game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like they don't. This is going to sound like a pretty fucked up thing for a human being to say, but I don't really feel like they do the torture justice.
I can understand why you'd say that.
Because when you go into that interrogation mode, you're locked in. It's always within a box of about the same size.
Yeah.
All fucking 10 times you do it. But I never feel like there's enough things to interact with, right? When you in that first one, you can put that dude's head through the urinal.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's one, I think. So there's one in particular where you've got a lot of things to interact with, and I did find that quite cool. I like the fact that you can clearly do this a few different ways, and I mean they've set up some stuff, but I thought that too. There was so many of the interrogations. It was I feel like there's meant to be stuff to hit, but a lot of it is just I'm just hitting him against a wall a lot because I can't be bothered finding out what happens when you hit him against a different wall.
Yeah, I spent so much of those interrogation sections walking up to stuff that I was like, oh, this will have a good bit. And then hitting the interrogate button, and then Sam just slaps him off a bit.
Yeah, because there was one, I did that with, I think when you go to get the first, I won't say the story in case we do start going through it in more methodically, but there's one bit where you're going to interrogate a guy and he's near a car, so I figured, there'll probably be something to do with the car. And I'd already interrogated him once where he just holds his head down and then punches it, which was weird anyway. Took him to the car to interrogate him more, and then he just did the same thing near a car. And I was like, surely it was the only thing nearby, because it was in like a field thing near a car. Not a field, but an open area near a car. So it's like, where else am I meant to take him? Was this really just meant to be I punch him twice and then he's on the ground?
Yeah, like
But the one where you get Coben for the second time or whatever, that one was quite fun. Because you got to kick him off of a balcony.
Yes.
Ah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that bit is pretty good.
So, not all bad.
So what else happens in these first few? So
yeah, so
I
you
guess,
start.
Is it the mansion area that you go to? The dude's big mansion.
Yeah,
so that's the first one.
Mansion, isn't it?
You go from your cafe area to this mansion where you find. I think this is Coben, and you. So he's the one who. So at this point, Sam thinks killed his daughter, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because like as you're approaching his like where he's situated in the mansion, you get that like cutscene black and white on the wall, and you keep seeing Sarah's name pop up.
The projection thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that starts with the mansion, and then I can't even remember why or how they. I didn't even play this that long ago, and I can't really remember how the story comes about. I'm fairly certain at one point they were just suddenly doing something.
Well, like you moved, so it's less. I think so. After you have the market area, and that introduces a lot of like when you're in shadow, it's black and white, and there's the diegetic text and
shooting out light and stuff.
Yeah, and then you get into the mansion area, and that's when like he smashes the car wing mirror and he gets the bit of glass, doesn't he, to look under doors instead of the fibre optic. So again, the game is still trying really hard to be different to other Splinter Cells at this point, which is really cool, I thought.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because he's no longer working for Splinter Cell, right? He's on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he doesn't have all the tech.
And then you end up in this big mansion. It's quite an open area and you get a lot of ways to move around it. And there's a lot of dudes there, and it's really, really important that we discuss the dialogue that these dudes have.
It's really, really great.
It's just incredible. The shit that these like faceless goons that you fight say. My notes are. I've got so many lines in my notes are just quotes that these fucking morons have come up with.
I think, honestly, my favourite is, I don't think it's from this level, I think it's from the one just after. So when you've met Grim Dotter for the first time in this game. And one of them just goes, "Come on, man, shadows of a pussies." And I just loved it.
So there's a bit in this where you're at a fair, and then the bad guys turn up to the fair, and they're like, "There's a gas leak, civilians out," and all the civilians run away. So then you're just running around this fair fighting these soldiers, and one of the soldiers goes, and I've written it down here verbatim, "It's not a gas leak, Fisher, it's bullets."
Oh man,
that's too good.
It makes me feel really strange that the bad dudes are just not scared of Fisher in any way. Especially with Fisher's background, right? I imagine he's
but if you
really
think
cool
of
badass.
If you think of like Batman Arkham Asylum and stuff as well, that's a similar sort of sneaking around. These guys know you're there, but don't know where you are. Should be scared of you, and they're just like, "Fucking come at me, Batman! I can take you. I'm just a guy, but I'm gonna beat the shit out of you." So
that's
fights superheroes.
That's okay because they're crazy as fuck.
Still, though, I mean, I feel like if you had all these people scared of them, it would be a bit more like, well, why are they there?
Yeah,
you just not go towards the guy who you're terrified of, right?
I guess so. Maybe they're just pumping themselves up. That's how they deal with it.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
It would. I just think it would seem weird if these people who were coming at you trying to be intimidating would go, "Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!" You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
Maybe if you snuck up on them and they like didn't know you were near at all, and you heard them say that would be funny. But then why would they be saying it if they didn't know you were there? They're just a guard at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's one particular guard in the museum area who, as he's walking around, if you make a little bit of noise, he sort of turns around and he gets a bit panicked. And he's like, if that's the museum ghost, you're gonna die twice. So, like, these guys, they've got a solution to a lot of their problems, and it just seems to be murder.
Yeah, it's just a great solution. Because you told us about the Funfair one that you really liked. You didn't say what it was, and I was trying to come up with some at the time. And then in my notes, as I was playing it, I wrote one down, and I said, Funfair, more like Gunfair, because I figured that'd be something you'd say. They didn't say this, but the particular one I heard out when they were playing in the Funfair was, I think it was actually the one just after, and this is why they said it. And he goes, "No more Funhouse, Fisher." And it's just so bad, and I love it.
Yeah, like I've got some other quotes written down in here as well. Like there's a bit where you return a bit later on to third echelon, and you walk up to the front desk, and the woman's like, "I'm sorry, we're actually closed today," which I didn't realise that's how top secret government secret agencies work, but whatever.
And you also had to watch that cutscene every single time you died in that section.
Oh, which was like 6 times in a row. Like Katie was sitting behind me, and literally at one point it's like, "Why do you keep dying at this one bit?"
Yeah, I hated that so much. I think I wrote that down. That was a big part of my notes. Just, I fucking hate this bit. Why do I have to talk to the secretary every time I die? You can't throw grenades from cover. What the fuck is that? Is all I wrote for that section.
And then Sam's like, I used to work here. And then it blows everything up. And then there's a bit later on, and this is the bit that I said you missed, Dylan. Just to go through my top quotes from this game is when you meet the vice president in the White House.
Yeah.
And you're threatening him, and the vice president's like, "You can't touch me, man. I'm bulletproof." And so then Sam Fisher shoots him in both kneecaps and says, "You need to work on that bulletproof thing."
Yeah, that was a pretty good bit.
That's actually
Fucking savage.
There's I appreciated the things that the random, what's the word I'm looking for? NPCs
Goons.
just said. So
Goons,
I had one that wasn't even funny. I was just annoyed because I'd just been kidnapped. And so this is the second level. You're walking around and they go, "This is not a public airfield." And it's like, I'm here because you kidnapped me. It's not like I've chosen to come to this airfield. I know it's not a public airfield. You're walking around with guns and I'm killing you. I understand the concept here, and I appreciate those. But my favorite one, I think, for the entire thing, just because of how tacky it was in the same area. I took one for, you can take them like as a human shield.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he says this every time, because I think this is the only time I took a human shield. You take him and you go, "You've got one choice. Hold still." And then you walk around with him. And it's just so bad. And I love it so much.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I think there is some charm to the dialogue, even if other parts of the game doesn't work. I kind of love all of the dialogue because it's so fucking stupid.
Is it the same
really
like
dumb.
in other games as well? You've played the older games, right?
I remember the first couple being way more serious.
Yeah, me too. But the thing is, I don't think they were trying to go for silly.
Yeah.
I think they're all funny because of how serious they seem to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, "Come on, man, shadows are for pussies." Seems almost like it could be someone trying to write an interrogating person. Like, I can really just imagine sort of a hardcore ex-military guy who's gone into writing He's like, yeah, I'm writing really great rough books now, and they're fucking. I hated those spooks. Come on, man, shadows for pussies. You know. It seems like the kind of thing a really ridiculous, bold white man would say.
I can picture this. Yeah.
So I think that's why it's funny, not because it's intentional.
So after the museum, after you kill all the museum ghosts, the game's like, oh wait, actually, no, we don't want to be in this country anymore. And so then, like, fucking 15 dudes explode out of some windows, and you get kidnapped and taken to an airport, and that's where you meet the redhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the redhead's like, oh wait, actually no, I'm not a bad guy. I'm totally on your side. Here's a sweet earpiece and a fucking fibre optic. Also, I need you to beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And then you get like a weird interrogation bit, but instead of it being you putting someone's head through your urinal to find out who killed your daughter, you just kind of slapping some woman for a bit. And Michael Ironside, Sam Fisher, seems really into it.
Yeah, I wrote for that section, the first time you see those, I'll say this just because I think it was very key to, I don't know if it's how the other games work, but so you see those third echelon dudes come down from the sky, and the first thing I wrote as soon as I saw it was, evil Sam Fisher's indicated by red, because they've got the red eyes instead of green ones. But yeah, so then the Grim Daughter bit, I thought the same when you're slapping her. It's just a bit kind of strange. And I wrote, all in capitals, fucking pimp slap that ginger prick, because I didn't really like her at the time. I thought she was a friend at first, and then she wasn't, so I got angry and said, fucking pimp slap that ginger prick.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which I think may be too far.
Yeah, it's just a really, really weird scene that I don't necessarily know that they needed you to... I don't know if you needed to press the button to do it.
No, it was weird, yeah. They'd already established interrogation.
It's like, yeah, but imagine if that was how they introduced interrogation to the game. They didn't have that bit where you put that dude's head through the urinal. They were just like, we're going to introduce a concept which just gets darker and darker as the game goes on. By first having you just kind of beat up your mate in the face.
Yeah.
It's very strange. This game is tonally all over the place.
I've written for some reason, and I cannot figure out why. I assume something this happened. I wrote fucking sucker kick cunt. Sorry for the gendered insult there. I don't know. I don't know why I've written this. I should have provided more notes. Why have I written? Does anyone remember?
Is there a point where you kick someone?
I mean, I guess.
It seems like your experience of this game was a goddamn fever dream, Dylan.
You should see my notes. It doesn't make much sense. One of them is keep it sneaks, all in capitals, and then parentheses, obviously. Because, you know.
It's a sneak game.
Obviously.
I've got something written down here. It's a very nitpicky thing. But in cutscenes, off the bits I played anyway, the camera is so shaky. Anybody?
Yeah, it's meant to be. It's like edgy, you know. Like, look at this. This is a handheld camera film, like Winter Soldier. They're going for that Winter Soldier aesthetic, you know.
But it's not handheld. It's in a game. It's not a real camera.
Yeah, well, that's what they want, isn't it? They want that feel of like espionage thriller.
It was like the Bourne Identity came out. And then it took Ubisoft 8 years to cash in on shaky cam.
Exactly.
Yeah, to be fair, that whole period of time for action films are just shaky. It's just shaky everywhere.
That's not... What?
All films during that period of time from then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying all films. And I was like, that's not true.
No. Just action films.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to see how long that silence was going, and then I felt bad.
I'm trying to rally my next series of thoughts on this game and seeing if I. So, So the reason, I guess, we're sort of jumping from level to level in kind of a sort of dogged kind of way is because the actual meat of each level tends to just be like 2 or 3 areas which sort of you enter and they open up a bit and there are some dudes in it and a bunch of chest high walls and maybe some drain pipes and then converge again and you move to the next area and you go from place to place, and so we're kind of touching on the beginning and ends of these levels because that's when
Anything
stuff
happens.
and I guess we should probably have. I do have some thoughts on the general quality overall of the gameplay itself and of those more open areas. And I suppose my thoughts on those is that the quality of them fluctuates wildly, but it's not necessarily. Sure. This game is very much like get to the next cutscene to see the next outrageously, unreasonably gruff thing that Sam Fisher says, and then see who he hits, and then sort of move on. At least that was kind of my experience with it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the only reason I kept playing is because we were playing for this. I didn't enjoy it. So and I think those sections is why, because there was bits that were actually quite fun, and that I thought, this is actually an enjoyable game. I'm enjoying being sneaky, and then you get to a section where it's like, well, I can't be sneaky here.
Yeah.
And so you just end up having to kill everybody from behind cover or something like that in those big open areas, and it's kind of like, I appreciate you could maybe sneak through this entire thing, but it would make it super hard. And when your sneaky game makes it that it's just easier to shoot everyone as they walk towards you, it kind of ruins those sections, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, this is it. I think for, like, the first 4 or 5 missions, I was very much doing the same. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go into this game and play it very sneakily because, you know, this is what, I guess, one of the major elements of this game is sneaking around and not being seen and, you know, using the shadows and whatever. And then it was just, I got to a mission and I was like, well, I can't sneak. What do I do? And then talking to Mark, and he was like, yeah, so if you just stop sneaking and just take it as like a shooting game and actually just go and shoot people with a fucking automatic rifle, you'll enjoy it a lot more, and I for sure did. But
yeah, totally. Like, and the thing is, I guess, to segue out of that, is the very next level after the airfield. Is the game just goes, oh, by the way, there are going to be points where we ask you not to sneak. Here's a flashback to you being in Iraq and an AK.
Yes.
Crack on.
About it.
Yes, I know.
This level.
I know everyone has some strong thoughts on the Iraq flashback, so fucking let's go. What's happening in Iraq, boys?
It was just bad. It puts you in this sneaky game, like we were just saying, where you expect to be sneaky, and at least, like, you can kill everybody, but you can still do it semi-sneakily, right? Whereas then you come to Iraq and it's like, you can't hide, because as soon as you shoot, they know exactly where you are.
Yeah.
And it's just a big open field. Well, like desert. There's just none of the same sort of feel of being able to play this game to it. It's only the stuff where you end up just having to shoot everybody, and I think that's the worst part of the rest of the game. And as a result, this level is just horrible.
It's the level where I learned that the running speed is not really quick enough to really push me through this level and get me.
It's also an annoying run. I don't know if anybody else noticed this.
It is.
Other than
lumbering, isn't it?
Yeah, he fucking proper rolls his shoulders, doesn't he? It looks like he's trying to do a Baywatch run and failing. I took 4 notes for this Iraq mission because I took 4 notes for this Iraq mission, and it was, what the hell, I'm in Iraq now. AK-47 sneaks. This should have been my first key as to it not being sneaky, because I wrote that straight away. Tactical roll, because that's all you could do in this level. And then Iraq mission made me quit. That was it. I discovered the tactical roll and then had to quit.
Yes. It is rough all over. But also, I don't know, I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, I couldn't understand that every time you told us you were enjoying that. You enjoyed that mission. It was just like this was hell on earth.
I don't know. I think it was just like, oh, here's an AK and a reasonable cover system, and all these enemies are like proper grade A morons. Like, we're talking the stupidest people on the planet, and so it's just pretty easy just to like sit behind cover and just sort of pop people off, run to the next bit of cover. I thought it was right. Not in like a Splinter Cell way, just in like here's 20 minutes of a modern third-person shooter action game, and I haven't played one of those in years and years and years. And it was it was I don't know. It had a weirdly nostalgic feeling to it.
Yeah, I do kind of get that weirdly.
Like that level though is the only level in the game where you're not actually playing as Fisher, are you? Because that level
Spoilers.
is
Fucking hell.
start as your squad going in Iraq, and then like there's a bomb goes off, and you're all stood in close vicinity to it, and then you get stormed by some enemy guys, and Fisher gets captured, and you're actually playing as Cost, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're playing as the other dude in this game who also has an outrageous and unreasonable accent.
I didn't realise this until the end when he took off his mask, and I was like, wait a minute, that's Fisher in the chair. This doesn't make any sense.
I suppose that's the twist, isn't it? It sets that up for that to happen. But it's at the end there when you rescue him, and then you get on the radio and you're like, "This is Basilisk. We want some backup." And then like a jet flies over, and the jet's like, "This is Basilisk." And then like a fucking another dude radios in, and he's like, "This is Basilisk." And it's like, how in this fucking studio did you get 3 different reads of the word basilisk and put them all so close together that it's very clear that nobody in the studio actually knows how basilisk is pronounced?
There was 3 people and they were all kind of unsure on how to pronounce it, so nobody corrected them in case they were wrong.
They all smashed the silisk part of it, to be fair. All of them said asilisk perfectly.
Which is weird. You'd expect that's where the error is, right? Because how did you get basil wrong?
Yes.
You could have maybe gone for like basilisk. I can't even do it. Basilisk, maybe?
Yeah.
Basilisk. You could see that happening. But getting the A wrong?
Yeah.
They've used A's before, right?
I couldn't tell you. It doesn't make any sense.
I feel like voice actors have almost definitely used the letter A before.
But it's just this entire game, though, is just full of weird dialogue, I guess. Like, I almost feel like to go along with all the other insane scripting in this game, someone was like, no. So it's like, hang on, someone's like, Mr. Ubisoft Montreal, I'm fairly certain this isn't how you spell basilisk. It's like, say basilisk. Say it. Yeah. I don't know, that Iraq level's weird. I kind of enjoyed it.
The second time I went back to it, I didn't hate it as much, but I still didn't like it very much.
I'm not a fan.
I've got the comment, which I think I took from you, Mark, is the just kill everyone makes easier. So what Jack said.
Yeah.
So I think that's where that got a bit more fun, because it's just kill everyone. Makes it easy. It did make it easy, but it was still just, nothing.
I think like that Iraq level was really where I started to like love the equipment and like the grenades and everything in the game. Just because was like, well, wait a minute, I got a group of dudes who are all stood next to each other running towards me.
You only get 2 grenades in that section, though.
Yeah, which was a bit annoying, but I mean, it certainly, I guess, opened my eyes to being like, wait a minute, I've just been like neglecting all of this stuff that I've had throughout the other parts of the game. I should maybe use this stuff a lot more.
I always spam utilities.
So,
that's what it's about.
Do you know what you do get a lot of in that section, though, Dylan? You get a lot of bright red barrels that stand out against the grey haze of this 2010 Middle Eastern shooter.
That.
That also made me very nostalgic.
It
Red
made me
barrels.
happy, those barrels. It's just one way of making that level easier to get through.
Video games just don't have enough red barrels in them anymore.
I know, right?
It makes me sad. This is a shouting over static first, but I have to take a very, very quick break. So we're gonna cut out this pause and replace it with some sort of noise. And then I have to quickly get up from the computer, and I'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, man.
Hello everybody, Mark here. Dylan just kind of sings for the next 2 minutes or so, so if you want you can skip ahead to 47:30 or just listen to him sing. Enjoy.
If anybody wants to jam with me on this hold music, go ahead. No? Okay. I'll just keep going. Jack coughs on hold music. A shingang bungang buda ba ba baloo ba boop be doo. A roop ba beep ba boop ba dee, a dee biddy ba ba boo. A dee ba boop ba beam ba ding ba be ba ba dee ba boop ba boo. Shoo ba ba bee bee doo boo boo ba dee ba ba dee ba dee ba dee ba dee ba dee ba dee bow. Shoo ba 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 dee ba ba boo doo ba dee ba dee ba dee ba ba dee ba dee ba. A dee ba boop ba dee ba dee bow. A shoo ba bee dee ba dee boo ba. A shoo ba 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 dee ba bow. Ba la ba 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 da ba. A gim bam boom bram boom ba dee boop ba ba boop flip doo ba dee goop.
Can we just use this as like our intro music?
This is the hold music for this period while Mark's not here, obviously. A shwibbity ba ba boo ba boo. A shwoop boobity doop. A swoop 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 swoop. Swoopity swoop swoop swoop. Swoop 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 swoop. Swoop. A boo ba beep ba boobity boo. A ba ba boobity boo. A blip blap blip blap bibbity boo bibbity boo boo ba boo doo. A doo beep ba ba boo boo bitty ba boo boo bitty boo. Oh, I'm getting kind of tired now.
And we're back from our very brief break that had to be taken. And we were talking about the Iraq level in Splinter Cell. So, post the Iraq level, you get out of your flashback and you go to meet your boy Victor Cost to get yourself your bag full of gear. You got to pick up your backpack full of EMPs, which that can't be something you can just buy. Like, Victor Cost has got to be into some shady shit, right?
He gives you an EMP, so yeah, I mean, like, oh, you're not talking about the EMP bag, you're talking about the literal EMP. Okay, yeah. Makes sense. I thought you were shocked by him having a bag that's EMP proof, but not the EMP. But I realise now it's probably the EMP that you're shocked by.
Yeah, like this. You roll up on this dude, and he's like, "Oh, I've got you a piece." Like he hands you a gun, and then he hands you a backpack full of grenades and like multiple different types of EMP device.
Yep.
He's the EMP hookup. He's the boy. The EMP needs.
Holler at your boy Victor. EMPs every day. And then there's a gas leak, but it's not really a gas leak, it's bullets. and then you go, and so then I think this is kind of, at least for me, like you're at the halfway point of the game now, and I think this is kind of where the game starts to pick up.
Yeah, I quite liked this level. It was, I think there was enough in that funfair bit, at least, that it felt like you could be sneaky. Like there was alleyways you could go down and things you could sneak through to. So I managed to get through that entire level without being seen and just killing people from the shadows, which is cool.
That's awesome.
Also,
yeah, like I didn't even do that. So yeah,
there's raving rabbits in that fairground as well. I say without
What?
being seen. I did it all apart. The first time I did it, I accidentally walked into the guy you're meant to just follow and kill in a shadow. I walked straight into him. Like, I was walking behind him and I just went too fast. So, other than that, when it reset the game, I did that fine. But other than that, but yeah, there's raving rabbits in that fairground, which one of my key points that I made about this, because who needs critical analysis when you can have comments like "Raving Rabbits in the fairground" with a surprised emoticon.
What's raving rabbits?
From Rayman something, one of the Raymans, and they were
From
basically
Rayman's Raving Rabbits, I believe.
I see.
Are they established in that, or did they come before it?
I believe they are in fact established in that, because they are the rabbits, aren't they?
And they're minions, pre-minions, right?
Yeah, I guess.
They had that. No, never to the same level, obviously, but pretty close, to be fair, for a Rayman game character. They had that sort of everybody loves raving rabbits, and does anybody actually,
What?
Man, that is a hot take on the rabbits, Dylan.
Well, I mean, I think everybody just finds them a bit annoying, right?
A bit like the minions, really.
I haven't
Exactly,
really
yeah.
seen
They're
another
kind
one.
of popular, but
Hmm.
you must have. They look like minions, but
No, I mean,
instead of a minion,
I know.
imagine a rabbit.
I know what they are, but I haven't seen them
Oh, okay.
around enough to be deemed annoying. At least.
They don't, not anymore, but like before the minions came out, they were that thing that just kind of annoyingly appeared in some places. Like, why are you here?
Okay. All right.
Like Splinter Cell, I guess. Although that has precedence because it's Ubisoft.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that level, what? Just before the gas leak, you were supposed to take down these 3 dudes, right? 3 agents or whatever. They were trying to find you.
Mm.
Yeah.
What I find it really frustrating was you couldn't kind of distract them away from their routes. You just had to wait to get into those little alleys, and it was just really uncharacteristic of stealth games where you can't just distract somebody like to draw their attention.
It was just annoying, wasn't it? Because
Yeah.
it meant you just had to wait until that bit, and there was too much of that in this game. I think.
Yeah.
There was not necessarily in the same way of following, but there was a lot of just waiting for stuff to happen. And I think I wrote down later on these missions, more fucking camera shit. This is worse than Ask Creed follow missions. Because that's what it felt like. You just looked at some people with a camera or you followed people around until they were in the dark.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Chor. That was annoying.
Yeah. Apparently, in the previous games, you could whistle. That was one of the mechanics they removed.
Yeah, you totally could.
You can make noises with your remote camera in this one.
Yeah, there's never enough remote cameras, though, I found.
I only ever used remote cameras as backup remote mines.
That you could lure people to go and stand next to.
Yeah.
Oh.
Although I generally just threw them near the people.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Sure, that might be the only part of the game where it's like proper forced stealth.
Oh no! There's the before you go into the third echelon headquarters.
Oh right, yeah.
Can't kill anybody and you can't be seen.
Yeah.
Yes, right. That is. You can't kill people.
But there's a whole thing of they check in, so maybe you can kill them at certain times, and then if you manage to get through. But
okay, maybe.
I think I just assumed because you couldn't be seen and you couldn't take out their cameras, and then I heard on the radio, on one guy's radio, just being like all units check in. So I assumed there was also a if you kill them they'll realize kind of thing. Maybe not. Maybe I did that level way too sneakily.
Yeah, I smoked a bunch of dudes.
Okay. Well then.
Yeah, but I know exactly what you mean, sure. Like, it doesn't necessarily give you the kind of stealth arsenal you want, which means it reduces it down to not really stealth gameplay. It reduces it down to notice one of the 3 guys wearing a suit.
Yeah.
notice the dark alley that he walks through as part of his pre-programmed route that he walks through in a loop. Find the corner of that alley that you can stand in that he won't see you in. Wait, gank him, repeat another 2 times, move on to the next part of the level.
Yeah.
You didn't even have to notice the guy in the suit. They got tagged, so
Yeah.
even less sneaky, you know?
Yeah, like it. Yeah, that is actually quite a disappointing part of the game because it doesn't really encourage any kind of stealth gameplay at all because it's not. You don't need to, do you?
Yeah.
No. Because you know exactly where they are and you know which way they're going. So you just stand behind them. It's not sneaky, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Although saying that, I did manage to fuck it up.
I kept fucking it up because I didn't know that they were gonna have like a little detour into the alley. I thought I'm just gonna have to like kind of get their attention somehow. But then when I got their attention, I failed the level because they start shooting at me.
Yeah, it's a very weird chunk of gameplay, I suppose, isn't it? But then, like, I guess, as we've discussed, stealth is not this game's forte, is it? This game is not a stealth game. Whatever pretense it has, whatever it likes to call itself a stealth game, however it likes to let you hide in the shadows, it's not a stealth game, is it? Really?
No, I mean, there was at no point where I actually felt like I was sneaking around. I think basically the entire time, and we said this early on, the entire time it made me just want to play Metal Gear.
Oh, yes. Yes, it did.
And be actually sneaky.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't enough, I think, routes where you could... The fact that most of the time you had to kill everybody, you couldn't really do any of the levels without killing people.
I believe there is like an achievement within the game for doing that, but that seems hard and not fun.
But because like even if you had like a gun that just meant you could put some people to sleep, which I guess is kind of cheating, but it makes it for those points where there's really no option. Like you can't. It's basically impossible to sneak past unless you're the best Splinter Cell player in the world. At least you can resort to it then. Because I mean, like what Metal Gear, I think, has that, right? It's got sleeper bullets, and then like Dishonored has the similar thing. Mm-hmm. And you always have less of it, and it's that kind of thing, isn't it? It's something you can rely on that isn't as horrible as shooting everyone. I think having something like that would have been good, but I can kind of understand why they don't, because it's not very realistic.
I mean, the original ones had something like that, didn't they? Like the original ones, you had like an underslung grenade launcher for your assault rifle, and you could shoot like regular grenades, like smoke grenades, or you could shoot the high pressure rings or whatever they are that knock people out, which I think is even something you can get in Metal Gear Solid 5. Like the non-lethal shotguns also can shoot rings, and so in the original Splinter Cells there was a way to knock people out, or like you could choke them out as well. Because in this one, when you grab people from behind, Sam Fisher he's not knocking anyone unconscious. He is snapping necks and shooting people in the kidneys and all sorts of vicious shit.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of makes sense because it's not an RPG. You are playing a character. You're not sort of making a character. So it kind of makes sense. How you're playing it isn't meant to be determining the story. The story's kind of, I mean, there's like 3 choices in the game, but the story's just kind of meant to be set. And I guess that makes sense that you're not allowed to pick whether he kills everybody or not, because the whole point is that he kills everybody.
Yeah, because he's a badass secret agent on the run, disavowed by his country. There are no more rules. So he's just going to fucking murder everybody. I guess, right?
So it makes sense that, well, it kind of makes... It's still a bit annoying though, isn't it? But I mean, man, imagine having to... I don't... Surely nobody's done that game without killing everybody. There's no way anybody likes that game enough to put that much effort in to get that achievement.
Savage. Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many times I was playing that where it's like, I just don't. I could be playing something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, it is a clunky experience, and I found it so difficult to execute on any sort of like stealth plan. Like, I thought so many chunks of the game, even like in this very level we're talking about in the Washington Monument, after you pick up your like big bag of EMPs from your boy Victor,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, gas leak, and then it's like you have like 5 seconds to run across a wide open space and get into cover before 3 dudes turn around and see you. And if you execute on that flawlessly, you will then be in cover next to 3 dudes. And you have to think of a plan to get around them using some of like the branching path stuff, or just like mark and execute them if you've saved up a mark and execute.
Yeah.
And like you have to execute on that so quickly. And I feel like for whatever charm I found from the game's like bullshit secret agent plot and its ridiculous dialogue, it's so clunky to control, and like the shooting never feels great, and
Yeah.
like the movement is a bit weird, and so I never felt like I could think of a plan to do something stealthy and then adequately execute on that plan to do something stealthy.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know how certain things are going to go, do you? Like, the cover system isn't. There were so many times I found myself being forced into some random cover that I wasn't
It's so
didn't
bad.
want
Yeah, it's
because
so
I was
sticky.
maybe accidentally slightly close to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sticky.
It's appalling. Like I had the same issue at certain points in the game where I'd be running and then be confronted with a bunch of enemies, and then you try and snap into one bit of cover, and then you snap into cover on the opposite side, and it's like you're open towards all
Yeah.
of the enemies. And
You
it's
snap
like,
into
fuck.
cover around the corner instead of
Yeah.
so they can just shoot you. And this isn't
Yeah,
what I wanted.
it's
Why would I do
bizarre,
this? Yeah, I think there's not much to be said about the good points of those mechanics because there doesn't really seem to be any.
Yeah, like I've got written down here in like capital letters, shooting guns in this game sucks ass.
Yes. When you want to pop somebody's head, right, and you're not pressing the aim down sight button, you do the little.
That's your fault.
No. You do the little thing where you just take your gun out and then shoot, and that's like half a second in between you pressing the button to shoot and you actually performing in the game. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
If your gun's not out, then you can't shoot people straight away, and it gets really annoying.
Yeah, it's just you miss your headshots. You have to kind of anticipate you taking the gun out.
Yeah, it's just clunky, and it's like you get, if you're sitting still and crouched and aiming down sights, and the enemy is within maybe 8 meters, you get one shot that's accurate to where your cursor's being pointed.
Really?
If any of those things are different, if it's your second shot, or you've moved slightly, or you're standing up, or the enemy's further away, just your guns aren't accurate at all.
And you can't follow them moving. It's hard to get a headshot on anything moving because it's not smooth enough to follow anything. Like, there are games where you can perfectly track someone's head and then shoot them, and it's fine. There's no issues with it. But in this, it's just unless they're stood still, you also are fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Because like the moment you start moving that cursor, the edges of it just expand open.
Yeah.
And so it's like if you're completely still and they're completely still, and you line everything up perfectly, you can get like one shot. But if they're moving or everyone's moving, or it's your second shot, those cursors expand so far that it's like you might as well not even bother aiming with the odds that it's actually going to hit.
And there's so many times where like they'll appear and I'm trying to just fucking mow them down because there's a lot of people coming through a door, and even then, and like you're a meter away and they just don't hit most of the time. Like, the amount of times I've just unloaded a clip into someone and they've just walked off. I think is testament to that, isn't it? After that first shot, it's practically useless.
Yeah, like by the end of the game, I had completely changed my stealth tactic to get relatively close to somebody and then step out of cover in front of them, and while they're reacting, fire like 4 times into their chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then they get alerted, but you take them out before they alert everyone else. Then just rinse and repeat that, because trying to like stealthily pick everyone off without using mark and execute. But again, we haven't spoken about mark and execute much, because I don't know how much do you guys use mark and execute?
A fair amount. Not tons, because the getting close enough to people to melee them wasn't necessarily reasonable.
Yeah.
Because there's other people nearby. But I used the mark and execute. I quite liked it. I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, it's a cool mechanic.
I mean,
definitely.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But I mean, again, like we've been saying, it's a stealth game that's not really stealth. But in order to get the mark and execute, you have to be in a situation where you can get close enough to someone without them seeing you, and then do hand-to-hand takedown on them to get one of those mark and executes, and to to try and do that consistently in the game is something of a mission.
Yeah.
I severely needed them in the mission after the gas leak, where you infiltrate the science facility. And there were just so many choke points and so many enemies that you just couldn't really melee anyone. You just had to shoot your way through, I think. I don't know how you guys approach that level.
I just shot everyone, I think.
Yeah, I think that this is getting to the point where I started going, you know what, the stealth in this game isn't for me, but running from cover to cover and putting like 4 shots in someone's chest and then just doing that over and over again and just being fast enough through the areas that I can kill people before they alert the whole group, and it just becomes like me sitting behind a box waiting to be shot. They're like this next level, like the lab that you sneak into, was about when I got into that kind of rhythm.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's the same for me. That level is when I started being a bit less attempting sneak and just running through when I could.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was still trying.
On the other hand, though... Oh, sorry, Shaw.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was still trying a bit, but yeah, I found it pointless, so yeah. I just went on with shooting.
I was just going to say, this next level does have that dude getting electrocuted at the end of it, and he bursts into flames.
What?
Wait, what?
At the very end of it, there's a bit where a dude gets electrocuted, and he's standing at like a computer, and then he just explodes into flames.
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, me neither.
Do you not? It's like when you reach that room and then you've got to try and get out of the building, and then there's one guy because you've got what is it? You just override the circuit, and the guy sat at a computer and he just fucking fries himself.
Yeah, it's really, really dumb. It's like the stupidest looking thing in this entire game.
Is it?
I legitimately don't remember this happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's after the data download. You then get out of there and you move to like another area, and I think it's like you're trying to. I don't know what you're trying to do. Oh, that's it. You have to go detonate an EMP. And you're standing there, and you press the button, and there's a guy who's doing something, and you want him to stop doing whatever he does, and you detonate this EMP, and it causes like the computer the guy's using. I'm watching a video of it now. I found it on YouTube. The guy's like big man hitting a switch, and then he gets electrocuted at his computer and explodes into flames. It's really excellent. Hold on, I will time code this shit to you because Oh, it's so good.
Fun fact, if you Google that, you don't find it.
Word for word.
I Googled Splinter Cell conviction, guy bursts into flames. It didn't work.
Yeah,
Like, I remember this bit. I just
Oh
think
no,
it's just-
I remember this. Yeah. Okay.
That's not how EMPs work. I think it's just yet another point in this game where it's like the whole thing's a bit clunky and a bit weird, but then it just goes, nah, here's something really, really silly, and you go, oh, okay, Splinter Cell, you're a bit silly. I'm all right with that.
I think I turned it off. I stopped playing when that happened, so I didn't ever see that. And then when I started again, it started after it had happened, so I never actually saw that scene.
Okay. I think I had some kind of weird thing where I died and then I lost the cutscene somehow, and yeah.
Oh, man, you missed out, man.
Dylan, the impression you're giving me of your experience of this game is you, like, barely enjoying it for like about an hour at a time, and then just turning off in disgust and having to wait a little bit until you've got enough energy to play it again.
Yeah, like precisely. That is exactly how it went. There are so many points which I can't play this anymore. I need to stop.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Just to sprint through the story then. So then, after the laboratories, you go to the Lincoln Memorial, and you immediately start working for the president, and that's preposterous. And there's a
So
really...
is that when that happens?
Yeah.
That's when the story suddenly becomes the president is involved.
Yeah, like
didn't understand
inexplicably,
that.
you turn up at the Lincoln Memorial and you're on the you call up the president on your mobile. You're like, look, I've got this sweet iPhone. No, it's not even an iPhone. You go like, look, I've got this fucking flip phone, and I'm talking to the president, and I'm living the dream. And then you have a really, really, really terrible section where you're trying to listen in on the conversation with a directional microphone that never ever worked for me and was just fucking bad. And then you have like a pretty alright chase. And then I think these like last 4 missions after the chase is when like the story starts to do stuff. You go to your third echelon headquarters, and that section's alright, and we can talk about that perhaps in just a second. And then you go to the like this large empty space. You go to the reservoir, and then that section again is all right. There's some bits with a helicopter in there that are maybe not the best, but it's okay. And then you go to the White House, effectively. There's a little bit where you're in the streets of around Washington DC, but then you go to the White House to save the president, and then you save the president. So the game goes through a whole bunch of shit, right? Like
It really doesn't make much sense at all.
it's all over the place tonally, isn't it?
Yeah, like I think if I was to think back on this game in even maybe a few weeks, I just have no idea what was happening. Because there's no consistent... There's a story, but I think the only bit I'd remember is that, like, your daughter's not dead. Other than that, it's just kind of what the fuck is happening. The vice president's bad, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
the
vice
crux
president's
of
a
it.
real piece of shit and doesn't have any kneecaps.
Does it say on the screen that Vice President bad? Like it says alive, angry.
Grief.
Yeah, so you didn't get to this bit, Chor, but there's a bit at the end of the third echelon
so
headquarters
good.
level where you get to Grimm's office and you find the recording where your old pal Lambert reveals that he set the whole thing up to betray you and hide your daughter. And so you're super fucking pissed and you smash your computer up, and then it starts flashing like rage and hatred all over the walls, and then you get infinite mark and execute to run out of the building, and so you're just like smoking fools. But even then, you're not really, because it's kind of clunky to mark people and then execute them.
Did it not automatically mark it for you?
No.
See, for me, everybody got automatically marked, so I really liked that section.
What?
Oh no, I had to mark them all individually.
Yeah, mine had, as soon as they appeared on the screen, they got marked.
Oh, you son of a bitch, that sounds great.
Yeah, it
I
was
think mine
real
was
fun.
like everyone got automatically marked, but like they would only get marked if you could see them. So like if they were hiding behind something, you couldn't actually like mark them. You'd have to, and then if you like ran into a room and there were guys like left and right of you, you'd have to actually look at them for them to be marked. You couldn't just run in and then press Y.
Well, if you can't see them,
Yeah,
you can't
yeah. I
mark
mean,
them.
like I guess it makes sense.
That's a perfectly reasonable mechanic.
But yeah, like
I just want to be able to kill absolutely everybody in a 360-degree field of me, no matter
like
what. They
the
just
one
need to be
redeeming
dead.
feature about that whole sequence is just like, yeah, having the infinite executes, and then also the soundtrack that came into it as well when you were escaping from the headquarters was just, I was just like, man, this is actually pretty cool.
I can't even remember the soundtrack. It was just I was just enjoying the murder. I was like, yeah, you're dead, dead, dead. It was the only part where you felt like a super spy, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And like this, well, this is it. Like,
Did you not feel like a super? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, up to that point, like you get to the third echelon headquarters, and that's when you get your little goggles. That's when you get your Splinter Cell goggles, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, you get the sonar goggles.
Sorry.
Dumb.
That's like up to that point, you've had like no way of knowing if you're in a room and you can't see enemies. You've had really like no way of knowing where the enemies are, and then you get your sonar goggles because of that scientist who's being like held captive, and you go to him and he's like, yeah, here's some sonar. Look, you can see them through walls, but like also if there are enemies that have these, so they'll be able to see you if you can see them. But like up until that point, I was like, is this a Splinter Cell game? Because like I'm pretty sure that this is one of the main redeeming features of the whole Splinter Cell series is that you get these sonar goggles and they let you see through shit, and then you finally get them, and I was like, oh, this is where they come in.
Yeah. And then it's worth noting that dude who gives you the goggles is like, I'm a big fan of yours,
Yeah.
Sam. I think you're great. You're my bro. He's just like this fat nerd in the lab, and he's like, here's some sweet goggles. It's like, you definitely use these goggles to spy on the women's locker room. God damn it.
To be fair, you can't really see anything when you've got the goggles on. It's just like a light outline of someone. It's a silhouette, even. So it's not too bad, I guess.
Yeah. So, speaking of that section with the sonar goggles, what do you guys think of the noisy lasers?
Oh man,
Oh, I hated that. It was such a...
I
It's so
completely forgot
annoying.
about that
Like-
level. Like that bit of that mission, I just completely blocked out of my mind. Maybe because like I died way too many times on that bit.
Although you make a good point. I didn't think about the fact that they're lasers, but you can see them with sonar
Yeah.
goggles.
Yeah, what the fuck is that about?
Because they were noisy?
That can't be a thing. Are you telling me that concentrated beams of light emits a thick amounts of noise? That's thick with two C's.
Well, lightning produces sound, and that's a concentrated.
Lightning doesn't
It's
produce
not
sound.
light, but it's plasma.
It's also not light.
It makes light.
It does, yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see it.
It makes light, but lightning itself isn't light.
It's in the name, Mark. Lightning.
I hate you so much.
Hey, I've done atmospheric physics.
Oh,
I'm the only credible source here. Wait, I don't know,
I've done
Chor,
it
did
too.
you do atmospheric?
Yeah.
Okay,
we
me
did it
and Chor,
together.
we both think lightning is light.
George just
We're
said
the-
that lightning makes light.
Lightning
George just
makes
disagreed with you.
light. Lightning does make light. We're in agreement.
Yeah.
Right? We're all
Lightning's light. Hot take. Lightning is light.
Oh, damn it. Alright. Does that mean that light is also noise? Is that what we've got
Yeah.
with this?
Yeah.
This is how we're sciencing it through. Lightning makes light. Lots of people think lightning is thunder. Thunder is noisy. Light is noise.
And that's
There you
why
go.
you can see the laser beams with the sonar goggles.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I will admit, sure, like, as much as I said the last few levels that you haven't done pick up, you do miss out on a series of instant death, laser platforming puzzles that you can only see when you wear the goggles that massively reduce your vision. So,
platforming puzzles. Those
Yes.
things are not going to be great with the movement system in the game, is it?
Oh, please.
No.
They're not. It's not like they're really small, though. To be fair, so it's actually not too horrendous. I found it's not fun, but it's not. It was one of the only bits where I didn't get just maddeningly angry and quit because it wasn't too hard. So like, I died twice, maybe. I was like, oh, that's annoying, but then I did it again.
Okay. I don't.
So it wasn't actually as bad as you'd think with the movement system, but maybe the movement system is just better on the Xbox.
Yeah, it probably is. It's kind of terrible on the computer, but we can probably hook up a controller to it.
Oh, so you totally can't. Well, you can, but it doesn't have X input support.
Okay.
So here you go. Let's. It's going to be Mark and Shaw bitch about the PC port of Splinter Cell Conviction. You guys can just like tune out for a bit. The fucking PC port of this goddamn game. For a start, I would say actually no. For a start, I'm going to say it does allow you to have up to 120 hertz frame rate, which I was incredibly impressed by.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Did not expect that. Everything else about it is shit.
It runs at 4K too. That's good.
Yeah, it's got arbitrary resolutions, which is sweet. I think you can even go into like ultra wide aspect ratio.
Ooh.
Yeah, so like this from a like PC Master Race perspective, it's got some good shit in there. But
Some
then
plus points.
oh my god, is this not a control system that is optimized for WSAD? Oh, it's so bad.
I don't know how it works on the consoles, but you have to hold down the right-click button to be in cover at all times, and I found that a chore. And
You have to hold down the trigger, which is fine.
Okay.
But sometimes I feel like you did have to hold down the trigger, and I'm fairly certain there were points where you stayed in cover if you just pressed it. So I don't really know what was happening.
Throughout the whole game, you're not really sure which button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cover system was bad. I don't think that was a PC port issue. I think it was just a poorly optimized game.
Yeah, it's like Sam Fisher is not designed to run in. He can only move in one of 8 directions. So like if you press W, he moves forward. If you press A, he moves left, so on and so forth. If you press pairs of them, he'll move in the diagonal, and that's it. Like this game needs analog movement because otherwise it's like he like turns on a fucking penny. He only moves in the cardinal directions. It's just bizarre.
I can't imagine playing this game only being able to move 8 directions. That seems awful.
Yeah,
it's like limiting enough without that.
And then it doesn't have X input programming in it. So if you plug in an Xbox controller, instead of it going, sweet, it's an Xbox controller, here's all of the controls for how you'd play this on the Xbox. Considering the PC version of this game came out after that, they should probably have that worked out. Instead, what it does, it goes, oh, you've put a controller in. Why don't we just take a shit all over these controls so they make no fucking sense ever? And it's like, it does things like, it maps, like, start and select to, like, clicking in the 2 sticks, and then maps, like, B to, like, left bumper and weird shit like that. And so I plugged in this controller to try and play it with a controller after being like, oh no, this is not a PC game. And the game basically said, no, fuck you, buddy. I'm not going to play your game. And just made it so impossible. I couldn't even get to the menu to reconfigure how the controller worked. Because the controller support automatically was that fucking bad. And if you take the controller out, it takes away the menu that lets you reprogram the controllers.
Oh my god, okay.
Can you not can you not use keyboard controls to navigate to that menu, or was it just like exclusively controller once it's plugged in?
No, once if you turn it on with a controller plugged in, it only takes controller input.
Jeez.
If you unplug the controller, it takes keyboard input, but then it won't show you the menu to remap the controller.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah, fair. Yeah, like yeah.
It's like the game knows that it's meant to be played with an Xbox controller and wants to punish you for using a keyboard.
Oh man.
I don't know.
And do you want to talk about multiplayer?
Nah, you could talk about that. Sure, I've had my rant about controllers. I need to cool down for a
Did you
second.
guys actually get a chance to play the multiplayer?
No, that's not.
You
that's
didn't
not
see the
much
chat
to
earlier,
talk-
then, Jack.
There's not much to talk about multiplayer because we couldn't play it.
Oh really?
We couldn't play at all. Yeah. So we have to go through this convoluted friend system where I don't think you have to be friends on Uplay to do this, because Uplay wasn't around at the time when the game came out. But we have to be friends in the game, but using the Uplay tag. So we did that. We jumped through those hoops, and we tried to be together in a lobby or whatever, a party, and we just couldn't be together. So we couldn't.
The game
play.
was keeping you apart, man.
Yeah, we just couldn't.
It didn't
play.
respect our love.
And we searched through the internet for solutions, and some guy on Steam just said, "Yeah, we tried everything, nothing works. Don't buy this game for online."
Oh man.
Well, that's sad.
Yeah, like we saw a bunch of Steam guys that were like, oh, well, actually, if you configure your ports for this and you open up this chunk of your firewall and then it's a full moon and you make a blood sacrifice and you both hit join game at the exact same time, maybe it'll work. And we were just like, what if we didn't instead?
I did try just opening my firewall completely, and it still didn't work.
Yeah, Chor exposed himself for me, and yet still I couldn't make entry.
That's a good.
Fucking nightmarish system. Oh. So yes, there is a multiplayer cooperative story to this game, and we haven't seen it. My guess it's probably going to be another series of vaguely incomprehensible but kind of enjoyable cutscenes with some pretty dubious gameplay sandwiched in between them.
It's
a separate story, right?
Yeah.
You play as something in Kestrel.
It's the prologue.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
We can read about it, I guess.
It's the only way we're going to get to experience it. I don't know if the online works on Xbox. I never gave it a go.
Yeah, I don't know if they put it back in for the backwards compat version. Who knows?
They've got to be hosting it, and I doubt they are, right? Because does anybody play this game?
I hope not.
Don't think so.
That's so mean.
I don't know. I think maybe I don't like Splinter Cell Conviction in as much as Splinter Cell Conviction has made me want to play all of the other Splinter Cell games.
It's just a good advert.
Yeah, I've heard that the sequel, the most recent Splinter Cell game, Splinter Cell Blacklist, tries to sort of bridge the gap between this one and the previous ones by having a little bit more action in it like this, but bringing a lot more stealth back into it.
Yeah.
And
Which
also,
I think is important.
yeah, and I kind of want to play some OG Splinter Cell. I don't know why, because I suspect it's not going to have aged. If this one hasn't aged that well, I suspect OG Splinter Cell definitely
Are we
hasn't.
not like being teased about like a new Splinter Cell at E3 this year? Is that not a thing that's happening on Ubisoft's end?
If Walmart is to be believed.
We should be.
I don't know. I'd like, yeah.
Do we believe Walmart?
No.
Was it one of the
Yeah,
Walmart
I think it
things?
might have been.
Yeah.
It definitely was, yeah.
When did Splinter Cell Blacklist come out?
2013.
So I mean, like, wouldn't be surprising, right? There's not been. Oh yeah, because we were talking about this before with Wildlands or whatever it's called, right?
Yeah.
Because they brought him back. Yeah, we've discussed this before, didn't we?
Yeah, we should be seeing Splinter Cell, hopefully, right? But that's also... I don't think you can compare other Tom Clancy games to this now, because it's just a name attached to games nowadays. Like The Division 2, that's supposedly coming as well.
Yeah.
But in a post Metal Gear Solid 5 world, in a world where Ubisoft basically single-handedly invented the fucking open world game with all of its icons and shit, and where they're also changing how that works dramatically for things like Far Cry 5, that there is room for a really interesting Splinter Cell experience that plays really well and handles really well, and it is super cool. Especially since we're never going to get another Metal Gear Solid game again. Even if this just comes out as a pale imitation of Metal Gear Solid 5, that's still a pretty good stealth game that I would play.
Yeah. And hopefully, if it's Splinter Cell, it won't have all the stupid parasite stuff, or whatever they're called.
The Book of God Parasites.
They are called parasites. Nailed it.
The Wallachia.
Because those bits, it was the game with gold last month, Metal Gear Solid 5. So I've got it now. And it's kind of like, I want to play it, but also I don't want to play those sections.
Against the Skulls unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're alright.
So I just hate those bits so much. They make me stressed out and upset.
They do give
I
you
just don't want to... I think I played that when you had it, right, Chor?
Yeah,
So I imagine you watched me playing those sections, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to that level near the end where you have to defend the mansion from 8 billion tanks?
I don't think so. I got to the first time you see a proper Metal Gear and then didn't play anymore.
The Sahelanthropus.
Yeah.
I actually dented a radiator from how frustrated I was by that tank defense bit. Yeah,
See, that too makes me want to not play the game.
Yeah, it's a shame. There's 3 levels in a game of ostensibly 50 missions. There are, or no, more than that, because there are the side ops as well. In a game of 150 missions, there are 3 that are so bad it almost actually makes the rest of the game not worth playing.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Red Dead Redemption. Sometimes I think I want to go back and play that, but then you remember how bad the beginning is.
Oh, you'd have to ride a lot of horses and listen to some very long, boring conversations.
I tried to do it once. I got quite far through, and then I was taming a stallion, because you have to do that as part of it. And the stallion sunk into the ground, and the entire game broke. So
That's the
I
most
literally...
Red Dead thing I've ever heard.
I would have had to start completely from the beginning again, do all those tutorials and walking conversations, and it's just I'm just never going to play this game again, which is sad, but oh well. I can live without it. It's a similar thing as, yeah. So hopefully, if Splinter Cell makes basically just Metal Gear Solid 5, but without all of the crazy...
Without all of the Metal Gear in it.
Yeah. That'd be quite fun. I'd enjoy that.
Yeah, totally.
I don't need all that Kojima shit sometimes. I can appreciate it, but fuck, man. It's a bit too intense for me.
Too much.
That 15-minute fucking Jeep ride at the end where you just sit with the main bad guy and he just talks at you and Kiefer Sutherland doesn't say anything because he was too expensive to get into the voice studio. That's some good Kojima ass shit. I was well into it. You'd never catch Sam Fisher sitting in a Jeep with a bad guy for 15 minutes.
No.
Although
He'd choke that bitch.
also,
He'd kneecap him.
They left him out of an entire game because they couldn't afford him, so... That's more than the 15 minutes, you know?
This is true. This is very, very true.
They did an entire game without him speaking. I mean, he's just spoke to someone else, but...
Just some other dude doing a Michael Ironside impression. Where's my daughter? Oh, Grim. Oh, show me my daughter. Oh, Sarah. Oh, honey, you're okay. Oh, you should work on that bulletproof thing.
That's surprisingly not bad.
That is upsetting.
He just sounds so drunk all the time.
He doesn't sound like he looks either, I found. I was expecting a very different voice when you saw his face the first time.
Looks can be deceiving.
It's just too gruff, you know?
I love it. Oh, I love it. Alright, we've rambled for a while. We spent about an hour talking about the first 4 levels of this game.
We did a good job. I'm proud of us.
But it's alright, because I think we got everything. I don't know, does anybody have any closing thoughts about Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction?
The last thing I wrote about it, which I think is to maybe take away from all the negatives we've provided, I wrote all in capitals, Jelly Chopper, and then this level is quite enjoyable. So, there you go. That's how you finish it off.
I don't know what either of those things mean, but it sounds alright.
Jelly Chopper was with regards to the helicopter, because you see a helicopter all of a sudden. I'm not saying that bit was enjoyable, that bit was fine. It was just a bit, like, you forced you to be in cover. But that level, I was playing it feeling like, yeah, you know what? I'm enjoying this. Finally. So, I won't leave you with a completely bad taste.
Yeah, alright. What about you two gents? Either of you got anything, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess if you own the game, then yeah, I guess it's an experience. But I wouldn't go out of my way and encourage people to like pick up this game if there does start becoming like a massive bit of hype behind Splinter Cell moving towards E3, and you really want to start playing some of the older games. I'd probably miss out this one.
So your closing thoughts are don't buy this video game.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Play Splinter Cell Blacklist instead.
Yeah.
It might be.
What about you, Chor?
Well, I've got 2 words on my wall in world text. Unfinished hatred.
Fucking savage, man. Alright. Yeah. Cool. Shit. Well,
I think we can establish that this was not as a successful month as playing Doom.
No. Doom was...
But it's good, because, I mean, it means we had bad things to say. We're usually just kind of like, yeah, that game's alright. I like that. At least Season 1 was a lot of that, wasn't it? It's like, yeah, I know this game. It's fun. Or, I don't know what this game is. Maybe I'll try it.
Giant Citizen Kabuto.
Nice. At least now we've got differing opinions.
For the first time in podcast history.
Wait, this is where you'll start to break apart.
Man.
This is the beginning of the end, guys. We're starting to disagree.
Right. Guys, we've got a game to play through the month of June for episode 3 of season 2.
We do.
It's somewhat of a jarring tonal shift from our previous 2 games, which I think is important.
Yeah, I think we all need it.
Sun's out, guns in.
Oh no. Chor, as this game is as you came up, I think you suggested this game, so why don't you reveal it?
All right, okay. So the game we're going to play for the next month is called To the Moon. It's a point-and-click adventure game. So it's very story-focused. Shall I tell about the story itself? The blurb from the website? Or not?
Fuck
Yeah,
it.
go for it.
All right.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So you are, I think, a scientist, and you have to help this guy go to the moon because that's his last dying wish. And you basically travel through his dreams and past memories and try to find out what his past is to make his wish come true. So we'll go through that.
You try to find out his past so he can go to the moon?
Yeah, there's some kind of puzzles, and you have to piece them together, and you have to really get this guy to the moon. I don't know. That's like, read the description on the stores, and you might have a better idea. And also we'll know when we play through it. And it's got really overwhelming positive reviews on Steam. So,
and it's won a bunch of awards for its story and stuff as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So
there's no combat in the game, so we won't have terrible experiences.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to play something a bit different. So that is Freebird Games 2011 independent adventure game To the Moon will be our June game. And so, unless anybody has anything further to say...
Nope, I'm fine.
This has been episode 2 of season 2 of Shouting Over Static, a video game show and tell podcast where we have spoken about Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction. And I will close this out by saying, tell me where my daughter is. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.